Hi, my name is Nick Hewitt, and this is my CIS 476 Design Patterns final project. So I'll start with an overview of the application, the user interface, the basic functionality, then I'll get into some of the implementation details, do a few quick demos, go over the architecture, and then do a code walkthrough to wrap everything up. So this is a desktop application. It's a Java UI app, so written in the Java programming language. Right now it's running on Linux. This is the Linux desktop platform, and it was developed and tested on Linux. So I know, Java is cross-platform, but it was only tested on Linux, so I can't make any guarantees there. So the UI was developed using the Swing UI framework. So this is a Java framework that's you can use to build windowed applications like this one. I use the Eclipse IDE for development, and again, everything was done on Linux. So a quick walkthrough of some of the UI features. You'll see here, this is the main window. I wanted to kind of include all the functionality on this one window. There's another window that you would use for adding definitions for words, but I'll get to that later. So this top text box here, this is where you would type or copy and paste text in a foreign language that you would want translated to English. So you can type it here, or like I've just been copying and pasting from Google Translate to test the application. So you type it here, enter text somehow, and then you just click translate, and that will kick off the translation. So basically, once you do that, you'll get the translated text here in the second text pane, and this is editable. These other two, I have a text pane here and then a text pane down here as well, and neither of these are editable. You can copy text, but you cannot modify it in any way. So you'll get the translated text here, and then it'll be a sentence in English, and then you have the option to read that translation. So basically, the application will just iterate over each word in the sentence, and it will basically use the audio data to read the sentence. So you can also click individual words in the translated sentence, and that will display the definition of that word, multiple definitions down in the lowest text pane. And you will also have the option to play the audio for that specific word. So, and then you can, click on any word in the sentence, and this will be automatically updated. So that's basically the UI. Like I said, there's another window that users can use to add custom definitions for words that are not in the dictionary API that I'm using, but I'll get to that later. So basically, that's it for the UI. Some of the kind of higher level implementation details. So I use the Microsoft Translator API for the translation engine. So unfortunately, Google Translate is not free anymore, so I had to go with Microsoft. So I found it to be kind of slow, but it does work, so I guess that's what matters. And it's free for up to, I think, something like 2 million words per month. So that was also sufficient for this application. The Merriam-Webster Dictionary API, so I use that for downloading word definitions and then word audio. So I found that worked pretty well. I haven't really found an actual word that's not there, so I basically had to use garbage for the testing of that feature. So the database implementation, I used SQLite, and there's actually a JDBC driver that's readily available for Java for SQLite, so that was good. That was a fairly simple implementation. And so basically, you know, this application to the user just appears to be a normal desktop application, but actually, you know, it's using all these different back-end type subsystems, so you know, making web requests to multiple different services and then storing information in a database. So I can kind of dig deeper into that when I do the code walkthrough. So right now I'll just do a few demonstrations of the translation functionality. 1 second. So I think, unless I change my mind here, all of these initial translations, what I'm doing is I have a Google Translate window opened here on my other monitor, and I'm just typing in sentences and then translating them to German, and then I'm translating back to English with my application to demo the functionality. So here's a sentence that's in German. I'm able to translate it back into English. And yeah, that's what you know, the Microsoft API is kind of slow, which is unfortunate, but it works. So here's the translated text. So design patterns are awesome. So okay, so I've got the translation, and now I will read that.
Design
pattern error.
So it reads it. Basically, for each word, it just grabs the audio, the binary data out of the database, and processes it as a WAV file. So I can also click on each word, and that will display actually every definition that's returned by the Merriam-Webster API. So right here we have design. You can see the definitions are all here. So then I also have the option to play audio, so I can kind of, you know, for each word,
design.
I can play back the audio that was returned from the MW API. So
This be
a
bunch of German
word
German
word
of bunch
So another example.
This be
a
bunch of German
word
Okay, so really the last thing I want to demo is the ability to add a custom definition for a word that is not in the dictionary. So to simulate that, I'll just enter some garbage here, and basically the translator should just, it'll give me back the same thing, because it wasn't able to detect the language, the source language, so it just gives me back what I gave it. So since this is obviously not a word, it's not going to be in the dictionary, so my application will detect that and then allow the user to enter in kind of like a custom definition for this word. So if I click this and try to view the definition, right? Obviously there's nothing here, and this window just popped up actually on my other monitor. So basically you can just enter a word here, so it'll automatically populate this text box with the word that you're trying to add a definition for. So I just give it some arbitrary definition. I can submit, and then the next time I click this text, this word, I see the definition that I just entered there. So obviously, if you know, there's not going to be any audio for this word, so the audio features are not going to work, but the user is able to add their own custom definitions for words that are not in the database. So yeah, that is basically the application. So this is, I'll kind of do a kind of a high-level walkthrough on the UML and the design patterns that I chose. So this is the UML, this is the class diagram. These are the application classes right here. I had some other test classes, so I used the JUnit plugin for Eclipse, which I found very helpful for this project. But basically, so the three patterns I chose were singleton, facade, and mediator. So I had two classes, the translator and then word dictionary. So these two are both singletons and they're also facades. So kind of for both classes, I had to implement all kinds of web APIs, and for word dictionary also the encapsulate all the database functionality. So I ended up accessing quite a few different classes from the Java framework, and so that's where, so basically both of these classes only expose an interface or functionality that the rest of the application is interested in. So in the case of word dictionary, the only all of these functions are related to adding a word, getting a word definition, getting audio, things like that. So only things, and so the rest of the framework is completely transparent. It's visible to the application. So this class encapsulates all kinds of web APIs and database functionality. So same thing with the translator. So the word dictionary kind of acts as a facade that only exposes method signatures that are related to its direct, its word API. And then so same with the translator. The translator only exposes methods that are related to the translation of text. And then both of those classes are also singletons, because there's only need for one instance of each class during the application lifetime. So then the mediator, so what I have here, each one of these classes, so I have the two facades, which encapsulate basically the main, or provide features, services to the rest of the application. And then I have the two window classes, so the main window and then window for adding word definitions. So these all communicate through the mediator, and the mediator orchestrates all communication between objects and handles all the application logic and the complex scenarios for communication between objects. And then here's my client here. This is the translator application, which is just the main class, Java main class, has the main function. So these are the colleagues. This is the abstract colleague class, this is the abstract mediator class, and then this is the concrete mediator. So the abstract colleague class keeps a reference to the abstract mediator interface, and then the mediator itself keeps a reference to each one of the colleagues here.